No, you're so right. And I don't want to beat a dead horse, but again, I think if you come out of this, and you said it the best, if you come out of this thing the same as you went in, you're actually behind. you know. So I'm just hoping that people use this time to get better, to do better, to build, and to set themselves up for success.
Well, I've definitely seen it with your social media platform. Obviously, you have your Monday motivation videos, your Warrior Wednesday interviews that you do on Instagram. And I wanted to pick your brain today about, like certain aspects of your career and how you got there and how you've been able to, again, build this mindset to want to help other individuals accomplish their goals and break through those certain, mental barriers that they set for themselves. Because I feel like a lot of people do that. But in your case, like you started out in one thing, whether it was party planning or anything else that you wanted to do. Obviously, you break into the music industry as a tour manager. You're doing your own thing now. When did you kind of depict early on that you knew, because again, faith, of course, playing a big role in your life as well, you kind of knew like, okay, this didn't work out, but I knew now that it set me up for my future things that I ended up accomplishing?
I don't think we have enough time to answer this question. So I'll give you the shortest answer that I possibly can. I come from the South Bronx, New York. You being from the East Coast, you obviously know the South Bronx is the poorest, most impoverished borough in all of New York City. It is literally a third world country within the 5 boroughs of New York. That said, success for us looked like, if you even graduated high school, that was considered success. If you made it out of high school and went to college, that was, almost unheard of. It wasn't like our parents were encouraging us to do that because they barely graduated high school. And in ultimate success was getting a government or a city job. So if you work for the city or you work for the state, you did it. Like that was the big thing. You get a city job and you were set for life.
Right.
I wanted to take a different path. I've always been an entrepreneur at heart. I was the same guy who was shoveling snow in the winter, mowing lawns in the summer, packing bags at the local supermarket, pumping gas for tips. You name it, I did it if I could make $1. So I went to college and I did, what most of us are taught. We're all taught that this is, society smiles on you if you go to college and you get your 4-year degree. Somewhere in my junior year, I experienced a depression. It was the first time in my life that I've never been evaluated as having clinical depression, but if I was, I could probably liken it to what I experienced it somewhere in my junior year, where I was doing what society said was right. I was doing what we were taught to do, to conform and to get this 4-year degree and then get your resume out there and get a great job. But I looked around that college campus and I'm like, this ain't it. Like, I know I'm doing what everybody in my family, everybody in my immediate circle, society tells me this is the right way to do it. But I felt incomplete, completely incomplete. And I wound up dropping out. I wound up leaving school somewhere in the middle of my junior year. It had nothing to do with my ability to handle the workload. It had nothing to do with my intelligence. It had everything to do with, I wanted more out of life. And whatever Shawn, and this is an individual decision, whatever Shawn was supposed to do with his life, whatever God had in store for me, it wasn't there on that college campus, even though outside looking in, that was the right road for me to get to my ultimate destination. And when I came home, you alluded to it a little earlier, I had nothing to do. Like I was just a man who was just out there. I was searching my soul for what was next. I wanted to figure it out. And I had a good friend of mine and he was a DJ and he said, Shawn, you're popular, I'm a DJ, let's start throwing parties. And that's what I did. I did it. I didn't do it because I knew anything about, party promotion. I didn't know anything about creating events. I did it because I just had nothing else to do. And it was just a way for me to spend my time. In doing the party promotions, if you know anything about party promotion, it runs parallel to the music industry because you are booking guests. You know, it's kind of one and the same. So yeah, you're party promoting, but you kind of have this bird's eye view into the music industry. And when I started to party promote, a couple of things happened. First and foremost, I re-enrolled in a local college because I started my degree and I wanted to finish it. So I went to a local school, and while I was in the school, I started to do these internships in the music industry because I was party promoting that night every Friday and Saturday night. And I was looking like, yo, the music industry, that seems like it's something that I want to do. Like I love that aspect of it's non-traditional, it seems fun. And at the time, you know, I'm a hip hop head. I'm the guy always with the headphones on. You know, when I'm driving, I'm always blasting my music. So I take these internships, one after the other, and literally, you know, there were no child labor laws in place at that time. So we could work for free. Like it was, they didn't compensate us in any which way, shape, or form. So I got no car fare to get down there. We had no lunch money. It wasn't like they paid us any type of money or even credit at that time with college. I mean, for college. So I did it for free, and I would work at one internship, one label, and I would get, you know, at the end of the internship, 8 months, a year later, you know, I don't have a job for you. Thanks for working for free. Good luck. And I did that 5 times over, over the course of close to 6 years, getting beat up, knocked down, disappointed, disheartened. And, you know, at that point, somewhere along the line, I realized that that is what I wanted to do with my life. But just to conclude on this, 2 things happened. Number one, when I got finally, after about 6 years of working for free, like literally working for free and subsidizing my income through the parties at night, there was this upstart record label. And, you know, it was this young hotshot in the music industry named Shawn Diddy Combs. At that time, people called him Puff. And he had just gotten fired from Uptown Records, and he was starting his own label called Bad Boy at the time, mid-90s. And I didn't want to do another internship. I had been beat up, and, you know, I felt unhireable, and I felt as though, you know, it was just never going to happen. And when I went into Bad Boy, I went down there. My friend told me, "Hey, Bad Boy is you know, looking for interns." I went down there. I didn't want to intern. They only wanted me to be on the street team, and we can get into that at a later point. But long story short, I went, and you know, it's just one of those things. I couldn't give up on my dream, and that was the label that changed my entire life. You know, it took a long time to get there, but it changed my life. And I bring up the party promotions for a key reason. Number one is because it was the vehicle that allowed me to see that there was this industry that was very non-traditional that I could actually make a living at, you know, whether through promotion or through working in the music industry, because working in the music industry now is the norm. Back in the 90s, that wasn't the norm. That wasn't a real career path that people took. And number two, the throwing the parties, it introduced me to entrepreneurship in a real way. Meaning, I was a promoter, which meant I had to go and work deals out with shady club promoters. I had to hire staff. I had to learn marketing and promotion. I had to make sure that the money was coming in and the revenues were dispersed, paying teams properly. It just was so many nuances of entrepreneurship and business that I learned from doing these parties, which ultimately set me up for years later to create the many businesses that I created.
Did you always have that self-discipline factor? Because again, you were alluding to at the beginning there, you dropping out of school. Because a lot of kids today, especially my age in 2021, are like, you got to get a high school diploma, then you got to get a college degree, and that's going to set you up for a job. And if you don't have that exact path, you feel like a failure, which is bogus to me, because everybody has their own path. Everybody gets to their success one way or another, as long as you have the heart to get there. Because like you were saying, you were told no, 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 hundreds of times before you finally got your big break, which a lot of people give up too easily because they get told no 15, 20 times and they're like, all right, this isn't for me. So did you always have that self-discipline factor to go through the hard work, like you said, unpaid internships, post-college, going through all of this dirty work in order to finally get that big break that you eventually got with Diddy or P. Diddy, or, one of the 5 that he had throughout his career, constantly rebranding himself?
The short answer is yes. I always had it. I am a highly disciplined human being. But what I also had, which I would love to share with your guests, I think that we're all born. It's not some of us. Yeah. We're all born with, call it your conscience, call it with an inner voice, whatever it is. It's that thing on the inside that speaks to us, but most of us choose not to listen. There are times in our life that this inner GPS, this inner whisper, whatever it is, maybe it's just your conscience, I don't know.
Yeah.
It directs you, it guides you. You just have this, I just got this intuition. I just had this thought that came out of no way. Like, let's go that way instead of this way. Unlike most people, I'm brave enough and have always been brave enough to listen to that voice. That is the separator. So yes, I've been disciplined, but I think it is more me being in tune with that thing that's on the inside that we all have, and not being afraid, even if the rest of the world doesn't get it, even if I have been taught that, you should go down the broad way as opposed to making a narrow path and veering off course. I choose to listen to that inner voice. And it has never, I promise you, Jack, it has never, ever, ever failed me. Even when I didn't know where I was going. When I dropped out of school, I had no idea that my life would turn out the way that it did. Zero idea. But it was necessary for me to get back to New York City, get back on the ground, meet up with my friend, start along that long journey that I just told you. And it worked out, and it always does. I can go through dozens of stories just like that.
Yeah, I totally agree with you in the sense that everybody has it. It's just about finding that motivation factor that, again, some people want it because, again, like you only live once. Like I think a lot of people realize that early on too. You want to accomplish everything you want to accomplish. While some people just, again, don't have that motivation. Some people need that, kick in the ass, that spark, that quote unquote punch in the face to really get going. But for you, it was right off the bat, you knew you always listened to that inner voice. No matter what was happening. Because again, like you knew that college wasn't the right situation for you, but you also didn't know what the right situation was going to be. But at the same time, you had the courage enough to, take that opportunity and say, this isn't for me. I have to go find it somewhere else, even though the future looks very blurry, in the near future.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, especially when you are going after your dreams, you are trying to achieve something that you personally have never achieved. Sometimes, you're in this tunnel and it's just black, and you have a choice. It's 2 directions you can go. You can go back or you can choose to go forward, even though you can't see where you're going, even though that light at the end of the tunnel have not presented itself yet. You could say, I could go back to what I know. I know what's back here. Like I entered this tunnel and I know exactly what's back there. For me, what was back there was staying in school, getting my college degree, putting my resume out there, taking a corporate job somewhere, working for 20, 30 years, and hopefully I would have saved up a couple of bucks and I would retire and die. That's what was back there.
Right.
But most people are too afraid of the unknown of what's in front. And I just believe if you're following this, not notice I keep going here to my chest. For anybody who's listening to this on podcast or audio form, I'm pointing to my heart, to what's in my spirit, in my soul. And I'm not pointing to my head. You know, when you think, you know, we're taught to think based on what we know. We're taught to think based on logic, based on 2 + 2 = 4. When you follow your gut, that's what it is. It's a gut feeling. There is no equation that we can say this is going to work out as it's supposed to be. And it's just trusting and having faith. And for me, I always have faith. When that inner voice is telling me to move forward, even if I have no idea where I'm going and I don't see the light, and it may take years for that light to present itself, I'm just moving where my heart and my soul and my spirit tells me to move. And it's always worked out. And I would tell your guests, trust that GPS, trust that inner compass, trust that navigation guide that God has implanted in all of us. You just have to trust it, even if you don't know how long or how you're going to get to your destination.